Okay, let's unpack this. The term itself sounds, well, a little jarring, doesn't it? Swedish death cleaning. Döstädning.
Mm-hmm.
It immediately conjures images that might feel intensely morbid, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last thing you want to think about when you're trying to feel organized or prepared.
It certainly does have that literal stark translation, death cleaning.
Yeah.
But what's truly fascinating here, and what the sources we've looked at consistently highlight, is that the reality is almost the complete opposite of that initial dark impression.
Really?
How so? Well, it's not about dwelling on death at all. It's fundamentally about living better right now, maximizing your current quality of life, and perhaps even more profoundly, showing tangible, practical love and consideration for the people you care about most.
Exactly. It's this practice which has gained significant international attention, largely thanks to Swedish author Margareta Magnusson in her book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning.
Right.
The core idea is a sensible, often gentle process of decluttering and organizing your home, especially as you get older or anticipate significant life changes.
Mm-hmm.
With the very explicit, compassionate goal of relieving your loved ones of the potentially overwhelming burden of sorting through a lifetime of accumulated possessions after you're gone or incapacitated.
Think of it as a conscious, proactive approach to managing your belongings and, well, by extension, your life. While the term death points towards later life stages, the principles underpinning destating, living with less, being intentional about what you own, and organizing things so they are accessible and understandable, are genuinely beneficial for people of any age. It's less a grim reminder of mortality and more a conscious choice to live a lighter, more present life and to act considerately towards future generations.
And in this deep dive, we are going to peel back the layers of Swedish death cleaning. We'll explore exactly what döstädning is, delve into the many intertwined benefits it offers, not just the obvious practical ones, but the deep emotional and the often overlooked financial advantages.
Right. The money side is interesting, too.
Definitely. We'll also see how this very practical, hands-on task fits into the much larger, essential picture of estate and financial planning.
And to get a really well-rounded view, we've pulled insights from a few distinct types of sources. We've examined practical, step-by-step guides, like one from dumpsters.com, to understand the practical how-to of clearing things out. We've looked at expert perspectives on the crucial integration of this physical sorting with formal estate and financial planning, drawing from resources like the Society of Actuaries or SOA and Hampshire Hill Wealth Management.
And critically, we've immersed ourselves in the raw, often deeply personal world of real-life experiences. The successes, the painful struggles, the surprising discoveries shared by people who have either bravely undertaken their own death cleaning or, more frequently, faced the truly daunting, sometimes heartbreaking task of doing it for loved ones who didn't.
Yeah, those stories are powerful.
Incredibly. A poignant thread on Reddit's Declutter forum provided some incredibly powerful, moving, and universally relatable anecdotes that underscore the immense impact of this practice, or, well, the lack thereof.
Our mission today is to help you see and understand this concept not just as a chore or morbid necessity, but as a thoughtful, empowering life practice. To show you the compelling why that motivates the sometimes difficult how, and how intentionally addressing your possessions now can profoundly simplify your life today, ease future burdens for those you love, and become an integral, compassionate part of putting all your personal affairs in order, physical, legal, and financial.
So let's really dig in. Döstädning, Swedish death cleaning. Let's move past the initial reaction to the name and understand what exactly is it at its core.
Okay. At its heart, as we touched on, döstädning is a Swedish concept, literally death cleaning. It's a cultural practice that has been gaining significant international attention, largely popularized outside of Sweden by Margareta Magnusson's insightful book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning.
And the foundational idea, as Magnusson articulates, is remarkably straightforward and deeply practical. It is a systematic way of decluttering, organizing, and even discarding your possessions.
Right.
Particularly as you reach a certain age or stage in life, with the clear primary intention that you don't leave behind a massive, overwhelming mess for your family or loved ones to deal with during their time of grief after you are gone.
It's about being proactively sensible, acknowledging the undeniable reality that at some point someone will indeed have to go through the accumulation of your life.
Yeah, that's inevitable.
And making the conscious, kind choice to undertake that significant task yourself on your own terms, while you still possess the capacity, both physical and mental, to do so, is seen and described in the sources as an act of immense love and foresight.
Yeah, the sources really emphasize this shift in perspective. That Dumpsters.com article quotes Leanne Carter, who went through the process herself, and her words are quite powerful. It's a loving thing to do for the people you care about. She says, sorting through your belongings once you're gone is an awful burden to put on someone, so get rid of them now to make it less awful for them. That shifts it entirely from being about death to being an act of living kindness.
It reframes something that sounds morbid into a loving thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The Florida Senior Consulting source echoes this, suggesting it's about ensuring your legacy is preserved in a dignified manner, not buried under piles of unsorted, potentially unwanted stuff that causes stress and conflict for your heirs.
Right.
It's about curating your past thoughtfully so your present and your loved one's future are less burdened.
And while the term inherently points towards older age, perhaps in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, as suggested by Magnuson, the core principles are absolutely applicable and profoundly beneficial for people of any age.
Oh, definitely.
It's really about consciously adopting a lifestyle of living with less, being intentional about the things you keep and acquire, and proactively deciding the fate of your possessions throughout your life, rather than waiting until the very end. It's not just an end-of-life chore, it's a way of living more simply, mindfully, and considerately now.
Precisely. It's a practice that cultivates a different relationship with material possessions, one that prioritizes utility, genuine meaning, and experiences over sheer accumulation. It helps you appreciate what you have while also being mindful of the potential weight those possessions could place on future generations.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making conscious decisions about what you truly need and cherish, and letting go of the rest.
Okay, so that gives us a solid understanding of what Swedish death cleaning is, this proactive, loving decluttering. Now let's dive deep into the why. Why would someone willingly embark on something that sounds so final?
Yeah.
And this is where those surprising and multifaceted benefits really come into play. It's exponentially more than just having a tidy house.
Absolutely. For the person actually doing the cleaning, the senior, or indeed anyone undertaking this process, there are profound emotional, mental, and personal benefits. Living with excessive clutter and disorganization can be a significant source of underlying anxiety, stress, and even physical risk.
Reducing that sheer volume of stuff creates a calmer, more serene, and functional living environment, which can lead to a simpler, potentially much happier life.
That makes intuitive sense. Less stuff means less to clean, less to organize, less visual distraction, less stress about where things are, or the sheer volume of items you possess.
Yeah.
The Florida Senior Consulting source explicitly talks about how excessive belongings can transform what should be a safe haven into a clutter trap.
Exactly. A clutter trap.
This isn't just about aesthetics. They highlight how clutter leads to increased anxiety and health risks. Physical risks like falls from navigating obstacle courses in your own home.
Trip hazards everywhere.
And mental health impacts from the constant visual and mental load. Downsizing and decluttering, they argue, directly alleviates this, providing a clean, serene environment and promoting better mental and physical health. And the process of sorting through a lifetime of possessions can be an incredibly powerful, even cathartic experience in itself. As you handle objects, you are inevitably confronted with memories, both joyful and perhaps difficult, that are tied to those items.
Yeah.
It forces a period of introspection, a reflection on your life's journey, the people you've met, the experiences you've had. It's a chance to revisit your own history through the tangible artifacts you've collected.
It really is like creating a living autobiography through your belongings. You pick up an item, and it doesn't just remind you of something. It sparks a full memory, a story, a feeling. The Dumpsters.com source quotes professional organizer Jody Adams on this very point. Look at it from a positive place. Share your experiences, family history, and stories that you might not have otherwise shared with your children and grandchildren.
Right.
This process can help bring these memories to life. It's not just about deciding what to keep or discard. It's about engaging with your own narrative.
Exactly. It's an opportunity to actively connect with the stories behind your things, to appreciate what you have genuinely used and loved, and to let go of what no longer serves you. The next Avenue source provides a touching example of someone reconnecting with their mother's jewelry, finding comfort in the memories.
Oh, that's lovely.
And also starting to play their old piano again. The piano, less inhibited by old performance anxieties after years of not playing, brought back pure joy and even physical benefits like improved flexibility in their hands.
Wow.
It underscores how decluttering can lead to reconnecting with items you do keep, sometimes finding renewed purpose or pleasure in them.
And from a very practical but equally important emotional standpoint, actively doing this yourself significantly reduces the anxiety you might feel about potentially leaving a huge, difficult task for your loved one
Oh, absolutely.
during what will already be a terrible time for them. Knowing you've taken steps to handle your affairs provides a real sense of control, peace of mind, and demonstrates your care in a tangible way. It's a way of exerting agency over your own space and legacy.
Which brings us directly to the immense emotional benefits for the heirs and loved ones benefits that are difficult to overstate. As the stark, moving accounts within that Reddit thread so clearly illustrate, being tasked with sorting through a cluttered home after someone dies is described repeatedly as an unpredictably intense burden, heaped on top of the already crushing weight of grief.
Oh, those Reddit stories are incredibly powerful and underscore this point brutally.
Mm-hmm.
On one end of the spectrum, someone shared the immense relief they felt when their mother-in-law died unexpectedly, but her house was described by the movers as the cleanest, most organized they had ever seen among clients clearing out deceased relatives' homes.
Wow, what a difference that must have made.
What an incredible, unexpected gift that organization was during such a devastating time. On the complete opposite end, others describe spending months, even years, dealing with houses full of actual hoards, requiring multiple dumpsters, professional help, and immense emotional and physical labor, all while trying to process their own grief and loss.
The contrast in those personal accounts is stark and deeply impactful. When the person has done the death cleaning, it drastically reduces the logistical and emotional burden on their family. It's not just the sheer physical labor of moving and sorting things.
No.
It's the profound emotional weight of having to make countless decisions about someone else's entire life, often without any context, without knowing the stories, the significance, or the desired fate of thousands of individual items.
And that's precisely where the immense value of the shared experience comes in.
Yeah.
By involving your loved ones in the process while you're still alive and able, you create invaluable opportunities to share those stories, that family history, the meaning behind objects. You can explain why that seemingly insignificant chipped mug was important or the history of that old tool set. It transforms what could be a sad post-mortem chore into a potentially bonding experience where history and love are shared and passed on.
It also provides your heirs the opportunity to identify specific items they genuinely cherish and would want to keep before you were gone. They can express interest in that vintage dress they remember you wearing, those specific family photo albums, your great-grandfather's shaving mug, or your grandfather's tools.
Yeah, things they actually want.
Exactly. This eliminates the guesswork, reduces potential family conflicts over who gets what after you're gone, and most importantly, ensures that genuinely meaningful items are passed to someone who will truly understand their significance and appreciate them, rather than being discarded or sold off without context or care.
One specific touching example from the Reddit thread was a user whose great-grandmother would literally write the name of the person who liked a piece of her artwork on the back,
Oh, that's smart.
making distribution incredibly clear and easy after she died. Another user mentioned their godparent, labeling nearly every item in their home with the intended recipient's name and phone number.
Oh, that's thorough.
These aren't just acts of organization, they are deeply thoughtful acts of love and planning.
These personal accounts from people who have lived through the consequences, whether positive or negative, profoundly emphasize that the ultimate emotional benefit for heirs is inheriting a legacy of love, not clutter.
Well put.
As the Florida Senior Consulting source notes, doing this provides great relief to family members during an already difficult time. It allows them to focus on grieving and remembering you, rather than being consumed by the daunting task of clearing out your physical life.
Beyond the emotional realm, there are also very tangible, practical benefits to Swedish death cleaning that impact your life now and make future transitions easier.
Yes, absolutely. A decluttered and organized home simply makes everyday life function more smoothly. It frees up physical space, making your home easier, safer, and more enjoyable to navigate.
Right.
For seniors specifically, the Florida Senior Consulting source highlights how decluttering removes clutter traps, piles of items that pose tripping hazards. A clearer home directly reduces the risk of falls and injuries, contributing to physical well-being.
And if a life transition becomes necessary, like downsizing to a smaller home, moving to assisted living, or even just moving to a new city, having already gone through your possessions makes that transition immeasurably smoother, faster, and less stressful. The immense task of deciding what to keep and move has already been substantially completed.
It also inherently leads to better organization of essential documents and information wills, financial records, insurance policies, passwords for online accounts.
Oh, yeah, the paperwork.
Making these accessible and organized isn't just for after death, it's absolutely critical if you face a period of incapacity and someone needs to step in to manage your affairs, pay bills, or access information quickly.
Identifying items you no longer need or want also allows you to decide their fate on your own terms. Now, whether that's donation, sale, or disposal, this not only clears current space, but aligns your possessions with your current lifestyle and needs.
Which naturally transitions us to the financial benefits. While Swedish death cleaning is primarily driven by emotional and practical motivations, there are definite financial advantages that emerge from the process.
If, while decluttering, you uncover items of value, antiques, collectibles, usable furniture, or electronics, you have the opportunity to sell them yourself now.
Right, get some cash now.
The dumpsters.com source suggests avenues like local garage sales or online platforms like eBay, OfferUp, Craigslist, or Facebook Marketplace. This can provide some useful extra income now, rather than valuable items just ending up in a landfill or being sold for pennies at an estate sale after your death because no one knew their value or where to sell them.
It also ties very directly into the concept of financial death cleaning, which is a crucial complementary practice. Physically streamlining your possessions often goes hand in hand with the motivation to streamline your financial accounts and documents, making everything easier to manage both for you now and your heirs later.
And for your heirs, this practice significantly reduces potential costs down the line. Clearing out a hoarded or even just a heavily cluttered home can involve substantial expenses.
Oh, definitely.
The Reddit thread is replete with mentions of needing to rent multiple large dumpsters, hiring professional cleanout or hauling services, which can be very expensive.
Yeah, those costs add up fast.
Or paying for storage units for inherited items that family members don't have immediate space for but feel obligated to keep for sentimental or perceived value reasons. These are real, significant financial burdens in addition to the emotional ones.
Having a clear, organized inventory of your possessions and knowing where important documents are also fundamentally aids in formal estate planning. It makes the task of listing assets for wills or trusts much more manageable and ensures that valuable items, if they exist, are properly accounted for and directed according to your wishes, which can be important for probate or trust administration processes.
Okay, we've thoroughly covered the why and the extensive benefits, emotional, practical, and financial. Now let's shift gears and get really practical. The how.
Right, the nuts and bolts.
For someone looking at a house full of accumulated items from decades of living, where do you even begin with a task that feels so monumental?
The sources provide several valuable methods and steps to make this manageable. The dumpsters.com article lays out a clear, helpful 7-step guide specifically framed for Swedish death cleaning.
Step 1, and it's perhaps the most important first step. Let your loved ones know. This isn't meant to be a secret mission you undertake alone.
Exactly. Involving your family from the outset serves multiple crucial purposes. It creates a degree of accountability for you, makes it less likely you'll abandon the project. It transforms it from a potentially solitary, overwhelming burden into a shared project where family members can offer support, motivation, and potentially physical help with moving heavier items. And perhaps most importantly, as we discussed earlier, it provides that invaluable opportunity to share memories, stories, and the history tied to the items as you are sorting them.
Yeah.
It also allows family members to express interest in certain belongings they might cherish, ensuring those items find a loving home while you are still there to witness it.
Step 2, start with less personal items. This is a strategic starting point to build momentum.
Right. The recommendation is to begin with categories that are often easier to make decisions about, items with less intense emotional weight. Closets are a prime example, clothing, accessories. These items often have clear utility, they fit or they don't, they're in style or they're not, you've worn them recently or you haven't. By starting here, you can build confidence in your decision-making process and gain momentum before tackling more emotionally charged items like old photo albums, journals, or inherited heirlooms. It's about easing yourself into the process.
Step 3, give things away thoughtfully. This step is about being intentional with the items you decide to part with.
Yes, for those items you know you don't need but have value or meaning, either monetary or sentimental, finding the right person to give them to can make letting go much easier and feel more purposeful. It's about ensuring an item you cared about continues to be used and cherished by someone else you care about. This could be family, friends, or even through specific charitable organizations that align with the item's purpose.
Step 4. Keep mementos for yourself. This acknowledges the inherent emotional difficulty of the process. You are allowed and encouraged to keep items with deep personal significance to you.
It's absolutely okay to be sentimental. The source quotes Judy Igwe, another organizer, acknowledging that it can be hard to part with sentimental items. The key here is to be discerning. Ask yourself what that item truly means to you.
Right.
Does it evoke a specific, strong, positive memory? Is it truly irreplaceable? While you keep items with deep personal meaning, it's also important to be realistic about what others will genuinely want or feel connected to after you're gone.
Yeah, that's a tough balance.
It is. The source even offers a rather stark but practical tip for deeply personal, non-transferable items, like old love letters or journals that only hold meaning for you. Keep them in a box marked throwaway to be disposed of later.
Oh, wow.
Ensuring your personal history is not exposed or burdened upon others. If you prefer, it remains private.
A great pro tip mentioned here is to digitize photographs. That makes large collections of physical photos much more manageable, easier to share with family, and less vulnerable to physical damage.
Definitely.
And perhaps humorously but practically, the advice to ruthlessly get rid of photos of people you don't recognize. Because if you, the owner, don't know who they are, it's highly unlikely anyone else in your family will know either.
So true, that pile of mystery relatives.
Exactly. Step 5, donate and sell the rest. Once you've made the decision that items are going, the key is to get them out of your home relatively quickly to avoid second-guessing yourself or letting them pile up elsewhere in the house.
They list examples of places where different types of items can be donated. General charities like Goodwill or Salvation Army, organizations like Habitat for Humanity, Restore for furniture and building materials, even animal shelters or humane societies for old towels and blankets. For selling, they reiterate using garage sales or those online platforms we mentioned earlier. Checking the value of items before donating is also wise. You might discover something is worth selling rather than giving away.
Step 6. Make a list of important documents and passwords. This is absolutely critical and forms a direct bridge between the physical death cleaning and the formal estate planning we'll discuss.
Yeah, hugely important. Creating a clear, accessible list or document outlining the location of legal documents, financial accounts, insurance policies, and crucially in the modern age, computer passwords and access info for online services is an invaluable resource for your family or appointed agent.
Step 7. Declutter regularly. This step fundamentally reframes Swedish death cleaning not as a single morbid event you do at the end of your life, but as an integrated, ongoing way of living intentionally.
Exactly. Make it a habit. Keep a running giveaway box in a closet for items you decide you no longer need. Regularly apply objective questions to your possessions. When was the last time you truly used this item?
Right.
Does it serve a meaningful purpose in my life right now? And the core death cleaning question. Will holding onto this specific item likely become a burden for my family to deal with later? Making this a regular practice prevents the overwhelming accumulation in the first place.
The sources also mention other established decluttering methods that can be used in conjunction with, or as part of, the Swedish death cleaning process. The KonMari method, popularized by Marie Kondo, is one, focusing on sorting by category.
Clothes, books.
And keeping only items that spark joy.
This method is very practical in its systematic approach and also respects the emotional connection to items by centering the decision around personal feeling, spark joy, while still being rigorous about letting go of the rest. It helps you curate your living space to be surrounded only by things that genuinely make you happy.
The 4-box method, keep, donate, discard, store, is presented as a quick, straightforward approach where you tackle one area at a time and immediately sort items into these 4 categories.
It forces immediate decisions and makes a large task seem more manageable by breaking it down into smaller, room-by-room or area-by-area actions. It's particularly helpful for seniors who might feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume.
And then there are time-based rules, like the 1-year rule or the 5-year rule.
Yes.
If you haven't used an item within that specified time frame, 1 year for closed common items, 5 years for less frequently used items, you should strongly consider letting it go.
These rules provide objective, unemotional benchmarks for making decisions, especially useful for items whose sentimental value isn't immediately obvious or for purely functional items.
Other general tips for success include adopting a one-in, one-out policy moving forward.
Good habit.
Bring something new into your home, and make sure something old leaves. Cultivating an appreciation for what you already have to combat the urge to acquire more possessions. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions that inevitably come up during the process, acknowledging that it is an emotional journey.
It really is.
Breaking down the task into smaller, manageable sessions, even just 15-30 minutes a day, to avoid burnout. And, if needed, considering seeking support from family, friends, or professional help, like organizers or senior consulting advisors.
Mm-hmm.
The Dumpsters.com source also wisely suggests rewarding yourself after completing a challenging task, but emphasizes doing so not with more physical stuff.
Right, maybe an experience instead. These practical steps and alternative methods provide a flexible roadmap for tackling the process of death cleaning, making it less daunting and more achievable.
Now let's zoom out a bit and connect this very practical process, sorting through your actual stuff, to that bigger picture we mentioned earlier. Formal estate planning.
Okay.
Because while death cleaning your possessions is a huge, important piece, it's not the entire picture of putting your affairs in order.
Exactly. Swedish death cleaning, in essence, is a very practical, hands-on, and deeply personal component of a much broader concept: comprehensive estate planning. As the Society of Actuaries, SOA source emphasizes, estate planning is a fundamental necessity for everyone, regardless of your financial status or age.
Right, not just for the wealthy.
Not at all. It's about making crucial decisions and putting legal structures in place to ensure that your wishes regarding your personal care, your medical treatment, and the distribution and management of your assets are clearly understood and followed, both if you become incapacitated during your lifetime and after you die.
And the SOA source stresses that estate planning isn't a one-and-done task you complete and forget about.
No, definitely not. It requires regular review and updating, particularly after significant life events. Think about marriage, divorce, the birth or adoption of children or grandchildren, the death of a family member, a major change in financial status, or even moving to a different state, as laws can vary.
So what are the key legal documents involved? The SOA source details them. The first one most people think of is a will.
Right. A will is a legal document that only becomes effective after your death. It directs how your assets should be distributed, names an executor to carry out your wishes, and can name guardians for minor children.
And why is it so important?
Well, the SOA source highlights the critical importance of having a will. Dying without one means your assets will be distributed according to your state's intestacy laws.
Which might not be what you want at all.
Exactly. This might not align with your wishes, can lead to complications, potential disputes among family members, significant delays, and increased costs due to mandated court involvement, which is called probate. While simple estates might get by with DIY kits, the source advises that complex situations absolutely require the expertise of an attorney.
Okay, so a will handles things after death. What about trusts, like a revocable trust? How's that different?
Good question. A revocable trust is set up and typically funded while you are alive. You, or a chosen trustee, manages the assets held within the trust. A key feature is that you can modify or even revoke the trust during your lifetime.
Oh, okay. Flexible.
Right. However, it becomes irrevocable upon your death. Trusts are often used because they can provide more specific and detailed instructions on how assets should be managed and distributed, potentially over a longer period or with specific conditions, unlike the simpler distribution typically directed by a will.
And it helps avoid probate.
Often, yes. For assets properly transferred into the trust, that's called funding the trust, this structure can often avoid the public, potentially time-consuming and costly probate process.
When might a trust be really useful?
The SOA source gives excellent examples. Setting up a special needs trust to provide for a disabled child without jeopardizing their eligibility for government benefits.
Okay.
Managing spending for a less financially responsible adult child, specifying bequests and managing dynamics in blended families, or even providing for the ongoing care of beloved pets after your death.
Right. Pets are family too. Are there downsides?
Well, the downsides to setting up a trust can include the time and expense involved in creating and funding it, and potentially needing to hire a professional trustee, although often a trusted family member can serve in this role.
So a basic difference.
The fundamental difference to remember, as the source clarifies, is that a will transfers assets after death, while a trust holds and manages assets before, during, and after death.
Got it. Now, estate planning isn't just about death, right? It's also about potential incapacity during life.
Exactly. This is where documents like the durable power of attorney become essential.
What does that do?
A durable power of attorney is effective while you are alive. It is a legal document appointing an agent, a person you choose and trust, to handle your financial and legal affairs if you become unable to do so yourself.
Like paying bills, managing accounts.
Exactly. Managing bank accounts, paying bills, handling real estate transactions, or managing investments. This power terminates upon your death. At that point, the instructions in your will or trust take over.
Can you set it up to only activate if needed?
Yes, you can set up a durable power of attorney to be effective immediately upon signing, or only upon a doctor certifying that you have become incapacitated. The SOA source issues a strong caution here. Choosing your agent is one of the most critical decisions.
Because they have a lot of power.
Significant control over your finances. Sadly, the source notes that instances of elder abuse and financial exploitation, even by family members or trusted individuals, do occur. You must choose someone you absolutely trust who is capable and who understands your wishes and responsibilities. They also mention that specific financial institutions might have their own forms or requirements for accepting a power of attorney.
Okay, that handles finances. What about healthcare decisions if you can't make them yourself?
Another vital document. The healthcare proxy, sometimes called a durable healthcare power of attorney. This document also becomes effective while you are alive if you become unable to make or communicate your own medical decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It designates a specific person, your agent, to make those healthcare decisions on your behalf. The SOA source strongly advises everyone over the age of 18 to have one of these, as unexpected accidents or illnesses can happen at any age.
And what kind of decisions can this agent make?
Your designated agent can make critical decisions ranging from routine treatments to major procedures, end-of-life care choices, and even organ donation. Your agent must be someone who understands your values and wishes and is willing and able to advocate for them with medical professionals.
Anything else needed with that?
Yes, the source highlights a crucial point. You need to specifically include a HIPAA release within this document or as a separate but accompanying document to legally allow your healthcare agent access to your protected medical information, which is necessary for them to make informed decisions. Forms for healthcare proxies are often state-specific.
Okay. Related to that, there's the living will, or advanced healthcare directive.
Right. This document is typically effective specifically when you are terminally ill or permanently unconscious and unable to communicate your wishes. It states your preferences regarding life-sustaining treatments.
Like life support.
Exactly. Resuscitation, CPR, mechanical ventilation, artificial nutrition, hydration, and pain management.
And having this helps your family.
Immensely. The laws governing living wills vary by state, and it's important that the document complies with your state's requirements. Having a living will provides clarity and direction to your family and medical team, relieving your loved ones of the immense burden and potential disagreement of making difficult life and death decisions without knowing your preferences.
A major goal in many estate plans is the desire to avoid probate, which you mentioned. Why is that such a focus?
Well, probate is the legal process supervised by a court where a deceased person's will is validated and their assets are gathered, debts and taxes are paid, and the remaining assets are distributed to the heirs. As the SOA source points out, probate can be a lengthy, public, and often expensive process.
Public.
Yes, the records are often public. It can tie up assets for months or even years and incur significant legal and court fees that reduce the amount ultimately inherited by your beneficiaries.
Okay, so how do you avoid probate? What are the strategies?
The SOA source outlines several common strategies. One is joint ownership, often with right of survivorship, common for married couples on bank accounts or real estate. Upon the death of one owner, the surviving owner automatically gains full control of the asset, usually with minimal paperwork and no probate involvement for that specific asset.
Makes sense. What else?
Another crucial strategy involves beneficiary designations. These are direct instructions you provide to financial institutions or policy providers that dictate who receives specific assets upon your death, regardless of what your will or trust says.
Regardless, so they override the will.
Yes, absolutely override the will. This includes retirement accounts like 401ks, retiraes and IRAs, annuities, and life insurance policies. Naming beneficiaries on these accounts ensures they transfer directly to the named individuals outside of probate. It is absolutely vital to keep these beneficiary designations updated after major life events.
Right, like divorce or remarriage.
Exactly, because they override your will. The source mentions the term per stirps as an option on beneficiary forms. Choosing this means that if one of your named children dies before you, their share will pass down to their children, your grandchildren, rather than being split among your surviving children.
That's useful. Are there similar things for regular bank accounts?
Yes, transfer on death, TOD, or payable on death, POD provisions function similarly to beneficiary designations, but apply to taxable brokerage accounts or standard bank accounts, respectively. By adding a TOD or POD designation, you ensure those accounts pass directly to your named beneficiary upon your death, avoiding probate for those specific assets.
Handy if you don't have a joint owner.
Exactly. And as we discussed, assets that have been properly transferred into a revocable trust will also typically avoid probate.
Okay, that covers the big legal stuff. But the SOA source also stressed leaving detailed practical information too.
Yes, this is critical. Standard wills and trusts are often very general regarding personal possessions or specific preferences. Discussing your wishes with your family in advance is always the best approach. However, documenting this is also key.
How do you document that?
A letter of instruction, sometimes called a letter of wishes or memorandum, is a non-legally binding document that can provide invaluable clarification and guidance for your family. While it can't contradict your will, it can provide details about how you'd like specific personal items distributed.
Like who gets the family photos or the toolbox?
Precisely. Explain the sentimentality behind certain objects, express funeral or memorial service preferences, or list important contacts. It's flexible and can be easily updated, making it perfect for detailing wishes about items that might not be listed in a formal will or trust.
Written burial instructions are also essential, clearly stating your preferences for cremation, burial, specific services, or locations.
Sharing these wishes and even prepaying for arrangements can significantly ease the burden on your family during a highly emotional time.
And an inventory of assets.
Incredibly valuable, especially if one spouse or partner handles most of the finances. This includes a comprehensive list of all your financial accounts: checking, savings, investment, retirement, insurance policies, life, health, home, auto, real estate deeds, safe deposit boxes and location key info, valuable personal property, and outstanding debts.
Is knowing where everything is.
Exactly. Knowing where assets are located and account numbers is vital for the executor or trustee to manage the estate.
And in today's world, digital assets.
Increasingly crucial. This means providing passwords and access information for online accounts, email, social media, banking portals, subscription services, digital photo storage, even loyalty programs, deciding who gets access and to what is important, and this information needs to be stored securely.
Right, not just on your locked computer.
Definitely not. Store it securely, perhaps with your will or in a way your executor can access it.
So where should all these vital documents be kept?
Safely, but accessibly. Originals of wills, trusts, POAs, etc. should be kept in a secure place, such as a fireproof and waterproof safe in your home or a safe deposit box. However, you must ensure your named executor, trustee, or agent has the key or combination and knows the location. That's key.
And give copies out.
It's highly recommended to give copies of key documents, like the will, POA, healthcare proxy, to your appointed agents and potentially other responsible family members. The SOA source suggests providing summary information who to contact, where key documents are located to geographically disperse family members so they have the critical information needed to act quickly if necessary.
They even mention checklists.
Yes, they provide a potential checklist structure covering locations of documents, contacts for professionals, attorney, financial advisor, accountant, and categories for asset inventory. They also include a list of things the family will need to handle relatively quickly after a death, such as notifying Social Security, stopping insurance policies or pension payments, or notifying the homeowner's insurer and police if the house will be empty.
Wow. Okay. So as you can clearly see, Swedish death cleaning, the practical process of sorting through and organizing your physical possessions, provides the foundational groundwork for many of these essential estate planning steps.
It really does. It makes creating inventories much easier, helps locate important documents that might be mixed in with other papers, and directly addresses the disposition of personal items that might not be covered by the formal legal documents. They are deeply interconnected and work synergistically.
They absolutely do. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about seeing them as complementary parts of a holistic approach to getting your entire life's affairs in order, covering both the tangible and the administrative, legal, financial dimensions.
Let's circle back now and really lean into those real-world experiences and challenges we touched on earlier, because they provide the most compelling illustrations of why this practice matters and what happens when it is or isn't done.
Right, the Reddit thread.
Yes, it offers incredibly candid and powerful insights from people on the front lines of this issue.
Yes, the contrast between those whose relatives did some degree of death cleaning and those who left everything is stark and deeply emotional.
On the positive side, people shared profound gratitude. One user mentioned their parents proactively starting in their 60s, gifting vintage items and family photos to the children while they were alive.
That's great.
This allowed the items to be distributed fairly with no hard feelings, and the parents got to see their cherished belongings go to loved ones. Another described their grandparents doing the same, which made the eventual transition to independent living incredibly smooth.
A particularly powerful anecdote highlighted a user whose mother-in-law died unexpectedly, but had kept an incredibly clean and well-organized home.
The one the movers commented on.
Yes, the shock and grief were immense, but the user explicitly stated that the organization of the home was such a gift during that impossible time, making everything that followed significantly less stressful.
And heartbreakingly, someone shared the experience of their mother, who was terminally ill, deciding to proactively do death cleaning to spare her children the stress.
Wow, that must have been hard.
Immensely difficult for the mother, but she actively involved her children, making decisions together. While it was hard in the moment, the user reflected that she and her siblings were ultimately fine with the process and deeply appreciated the effort, contrasting it with friends who faced overwhelming hordes.
Another touching comment from a user who received items from their grandmother while she was still alive captured the essence. She loves that she gets to be around to see myself and my kids enjoy them.
That's the real connection. It highlights the gift death cleaning can be, not just for the heirs, but for the person doing the cleaning who gets to share and see their legacy appreciated.
However, the negative examples shared are perhaps even more powerful in motivating people to act. Dealing with massive hoards after death is a tragically common theme.
Yeah, unfortunately.
One user described their father as a lifelong hoarder who collected everything from pump organs to miscellaneous junk. They recounted how it took over 5 years of dedicated work to go through his entire life's accumulation.
5 years.
Filling multiple storage units and rooms in the family home with items that weren't even there before.
Another shared the immense task of dealing with a 3-bedroom house, a workshop, sheds, and 2 storage units overflowing with stuff after their dad passed away, highlighting the sheer scale of the undertaking when decluttering hasn't occurred over the years.
The emotional difficulty of sorting through deeply sentimental items without the person there to provide context or share stories is a huge, often unexpected loss.
Like the photos.
Exactly. Multiple users lamented not being able to go through old photos with their deceased parents to hear the stories behind them and identify people, resulting in potentially valuable family history being lost forever or countless unidentified photos being discarded out of necessity.
There's also the shared frustration of dealing with parents who resist decluttering or even make light of the situation. One user reported their parents, in their late 80s, would laugh out loud about leaving their hoard to us to deal with,
Oh dear.
noting their mother had 2,000 square feet dedicated to Hallmark ornaments and other collections.
Another user's parents were somewhat disappointed no one wants their collections, such as vast numbers of Santa Clauses or other themed items.
Right, the things they loved.
Highlighting the mismatch between the sentimental value or perceived monetary value the parents placed on these items and the children's desire, or lack thereof, to inherit them.
The feeling of being utterly overwhelmed is a pervasive theme in the negative accounts. Users describe the entire burden falling on one person among siblings, the task taking months or years, having to deal with accumulated items from multiple relatives' households.
Oh, inheriting multiple households. And finding the whole experience an unpredictably intense burden that they were completely unprepared for.
One particularly striking comment described the experience of clearing out their mom's house, which wasn't even technically a hoard, just a lifetime of accumulation as still being a whole life to sort through. And an intensely difficult burden.
This experience triggered a phase where they felt an urgent need to get rid of everything they themselves owned, describing their own possessions, and inherited items as a plague. They stated they felt changed by it in a fundamental way.
Wow. That kind of intense negative experience clearly serves as a powerful motivator. Many users explicitly stated that they are now starting their own death cleaning process because of what they went through having to clear out a parent's home.
Right. They're determined not to do the same thing to their own children.
Specific challenges with certain types of items came up repeatedly. The dilemma of unlabeled photos where no one alive who knows who the people are.
We talked about that, yeah.
The sheer volume of vast collections, Hallmark ornaments, Santa Clauses, tools, artwork, fabric stashes that could stock a store, and the overwhelming volume of unsorted paperwork, financial records, medical bills, miscellaneous documents mixed together.
The dreaded paperwork pile again.
Practical challenges also emerged in the stories. The logistical nightmare and cost of needing multiple large dumpsters, having to hire outside help for hauling or sorting.
Right, the expense.
Dealing with insensitive neighbors who acted like vultures trying to grab things, and navigating complicated, sometimes hindering dynamics with other family members during the process. One user's cousin showed up supposedly to help, but kept trying to throw out important paperwork without verifying what it was.
Yikes.
There's also the specific frustration of inheriting items that are essentially just junk that's been kept in perfect condition, like dozens of sets of unused plates, glasses, or decorative items that hold no appeal or utility for the next generation.
But you feel guilty getting rid of them.
Exactly, but feel difficult to discard because of their pristine condition. One user's friend faced the daunting task of inheriting 4 different households worth of stuff because each relative had been an only child with no children of their own.
These stories vividly illustrate the real-world impact, the emotional toll, the practical difficulties, and ultimately the powerful why behind Swedish death cleaning. They make the concept incredibly relatable and compelling by showing the actual human experience on both sides of the practice.
They absolutely underscore the difference between a proactive, intentional process versus a reactive, burdened one imposed by circumstance.
Now, let's explicitly tie this back to the financial death cleaning aspect we touched on earlier, drawing more deeply from the Hampshire Hill source.
Okay.
It's a crucial, often overlooked complement to the physical decluttering and the legal estate planning.
Yes. That article positions financial death cleaning as a necessary spring clean for your finances, running parallel to cleaning your physical home. It's about bringing the same level of order, intentionality, and accessibility to your financial life as you do to your possessions.
They list several key steps involved in this financial deep dive. First, streamline your finances.
This means actively identifying and closing unused bank accounts that have sat dormant for years, canceling old credit cards you don't use, carefully considering the impact on your credit score if that's a concern, and reviewing and canceling subscriptions you no longer need or use, streaming services, gym memberships, magazine subscriptions. This simplifies your financial footprint now, reduces administrative clutter, less mail, fewer statements, and drastically reduces the number of loose ends or forgotten accounts your loved ones would need to track down and potentially close after you're gone.
Build a document library.
This echoes Step 6 of the Physical Death Cleaning and the SOA guidance. It means gathering all your crucial financial and legal documents into one central, secure location.
Like we discussed, wills, policies.
Exactly. Your will, trusts, powers of attorney, insurance policies, life, health, long-term care, investment account statements, property deeds, tax returns, and information about debts. They suggest considering secure online storage solutions in addition to physical copies, ensuring redundancy and accessibility for trusted parties. Having this library is invaluable for anyone who needs to manage your affairs during incapacity or after your death.
Keep beneficiary information up to date.
This point cannot be stressed enough. As we discussed earlier, beneficiary designations on accounts like pensions, IRAs, 401ks, annuities, and life insurance policies legally determine who receives those assets, overriding your will.
Super important.
Absolutely critical. The Hampshire Hill source highlights that it is critical to regularly review and update these designations to ensure they reflect your current wishes, especially after life events like marriage, divorce, birth of children, or deaths. Neglecting this is a common and significant estate planning mistake that can lead to unintended outcomes and family disputes.
Revisit your investments.
This involves reviewing your investment portfolio to ensure it remains aligned with your current financial goals, your risk tolerance, which may change as you age, and your life circumstances.
Where are you in life?
Accumulating.
Retiring.
Right. Are you still in the accumulation phase, the preservation phase, or the distribution phase? Financial advisors, as mentioned in the source, regularly monitor and rebalance portfolios, but they rely on you to update them on significant life changes that might necessitate a shift in strategy. This review ensures your assets are working for you now and are structured appropriately for the future.
Maximize tax efficiency.
This involves taking advantage of available tax shelters and allowances each year, such as contributing to ISAs, individual savings accounts, or pensions, retirement accounts, and utilizing capital gains tax exemptions when selling assets. It also explicitly involves revisiting your inheritance tax, IHT strategy, particularly relevant in countries where this applies.
Like the UK example I mentioned.
Exactly. The article specifically mentioned the announced potential change in the UK regarding unused pension funds and death benefits possibly being included in estates for IHT purposes, with a proposed effective date of 2027.
So things can change.
They can. While the source advises against making knee-jerk financial decisions based on this news before final guidance is issued, it serves as a powerful example of why financial plans, especially those concerning wealth transfer or potential death benefits, need regular review and adaptation based on changing legislation. What was tax efficient before might not be in the future.
Consider your retirement plan more broadly.
This step encourages a review of your overall retirement strategy. Are you saving enough to meet your future needs? Are your retirement investments in the right types of accounts? Should you consolidate multiple old pension pots to make them easier to manage? These fundamental questions impact your financial security in later life, but also directly influence what resources might be available or transferred to your heirs.
The Hampshire Hill source also places significant emphasis on communication within financial death cleaning, discussing your financial arrangements and intentions with trusted family members. They call this intergenerational financial planning.
This isn't always an easy conversation, but it's essential for smooth wealth transfer and preventing confusion or conflict.
Yeah, talking about money can be tricky.
It can be, but it involves sharing information about where documents are, who to contact, and discussing your wishes and the rationale behind your financial and estate planning decisions. It's about ensuring the next generation is prepared and informed, facilitating the secure transfer of assets, and aligning financial planning with family values and potential tax implications.
The article also touches on common financial anxieties that prevent people from managing their finances optimally, citing data from a Barclays report.
It notes that a significant number of people hold large amounts of cash savings in accounts earning minimal interest, potentially missing out on higher returns from investing.
Why do people do that?
Well, the primary reasons cited for this reluctance to invest are incredibly common and relatable. The investment landscape feels too complicated, there are too many options to choose from, a perceived lack of knowledge about comparing different investments, and a significant fear of losing money, seeing investing as too risky.
That makes sense. It can feel overwhelming.
It can, and this is precisely where the value of professional financial advice is highlighted as a key component of comprehensive financial planning or financial death cleaning. In overcoming these psychological barriers, demystifying the process, navigating economic uncertainty, and building confidence in making informed financial decisions.
Finally, the article mentions a surging demand for protection insurance, health, income, and life insurance.
People seeking security.
As people seek to secure their financial future and protect their families against unforeseen circumstances, particularly amidst economic uncertainty.
So financial death cleaning is really about bringing the same principles of order, clarity, intentionality, and consideration you apply to your physical possessions to your financial world.
Exactly. It's a crucial, complementary process that ensures your financial legacy, just like your physical one, is as streamlined, clear, and manageable as possible for those you leave behind, while also significantly benefiting your own sense of control, security, and peace of mind in the present.
Wow. We have definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, moving from sorting through socks and photo albums to the complexities of trusts, tax strategies, and beneficiary designations.
We certainly have. And I think what emerges from looking at all these sources, the practical guides, the legal and financial expertise, and the raw personal accounts, is the understanding that Swedish death cleaning, or Döstädning, is far more than just a process of cleaning out closets or getting rid of unwanted stuff.
It's a profound practice about living intentionally with your possessions right now, being mindful of what you own and why you own it. It's about taking proactive steps to organize your entire life, your physical space, your important documents, your financial accounts, and your legal wishes.
And perhaps most powerfully, at its heart, it is a deeply loving act of compassion and consideration for your loved ones. It is a proactive step you take while you are able to significantly minimize the stress, the burden, the potential conflicts, and the sheer difficulty they might face during a time when they will already be grappling with grief or navigating your incapacity.
It aligns perfectly with essential estate and financial planning, making the practical tasks of inventorying assets, locating crucial documents, and understanding your wishes infinitely easier for those you appoint to handle your affairs.
Yeah.
It transforms a potentially daunting future burden into a gift of clarity and ease. It's a tangible expression of love for your family's future well-being and a powerful act of self-care for your own peace of mind in the present.
It truly takes a concept that sounds challenging, even morbid, and reveals it to be a positive, empowering, and deeply compassionate life practice that benefits everyone involved.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Swedish death cleaning and its connections to getting your affairs in order, here is something for you to reflect on, something the stories we heard really bring into focus.
What's that?
What museum, or perhaps more accurately, what mess might you unknowingly be curating for someone else to deal with right now?
That's a good question. And thinking about the practical steps and profound benefits we've discussed, what small, manageable step could you take this week?
Just one small thing.
Maybe it's simply locating one missing document, sorting through just one drawer, or even just starting that potentially difficult but crucial conversation with a loved one about your wishes to begin turning that potential future burden into a gift of clarity, ease, and peace of mind, both for your future self and for the people you care about most.